Picture this. You're sitting across from someone who's been taking you for granted. Maybe it's your boss, your friend, or someone you've been dating. You've given and given, bent over backwards, made excuses for their behavior. And then something shifts inside you. You stop explaining yourself. You stop chasing. You simply walk away. What happens next might surprise you. Because Carl Jung, the legendary Swiss psychologist who mapped the human psyche, understood something profound about this moment. He knew that when you finally decide to walk away, you trigger something deep and primal in the other person's unconscious mind. But here's what most people don't realize. The real transformation isn't just happening in them. It's happening in you too. Jung called it the shadow, that part of ourselves we don't want to acknowledge. When someone consistently has access to you, when you're always available, always understanding, always there, you become part of their psychological furniture. You're taken for granted not because they're evil, but because human nature craves what it can't easily have. Think about your own life for a moment. The things you value most. Are they the things that came easily, or the things you had to work for? That promotion you fought for versus the one handed to you. The relationship you had to win versus the one that fell into your lap. Jung understood this paradox of human desire. We are wired to pursue what retreats from us. It's not manipulation. It's evolutionary psychology. For thousands of years, scarcity meant value, and abundance meant we could afford to be careless. When you walk away, you're not playing games. You're reclaiming your inherent worth. Here's where it gets fascinating. Jung discovered that our unconscious mind is always working, always processing, even when we're not aware of it. When someone loses access to you, their unconscious immediately begins what Jung called active imagination. They start filling in the blanks. Suddenly, that person who barely noticed you is wondering, where did they go? What are they doing? Who are they with? The mind that took you for granted is now consumed with thoughts of you. It's not about ego or pride, though those play a part. It's about the fundamental human fear of loss and the psychological principle of reactance. When something becomes unavailable, our brain literally rewrites its value system. That casual friend becomes someone they really need to talk to. That employee they overlooked becomes actually pretty valuable. That romantic interest they were lukewarm about becomes someone they can't stop thinking about. But here's the crucial part Jung would want you to understand. This isn't really about you. It's about them confronting their own shadow, the part of themselves that takes good things for granted. Jung mapped out how the human psyche responds to loss, and when you walk away, the other person typically goes through distinct psychological stages. First comes denial. They'll be back. They always come back. This is their ego protecting them from the reality that they may have lost something valuable. Then comes bargaining. The texts, the calls, the sudden interest in your life. Jung would recognize this as the psyche trying to restore equilibrium, to get back to the comfortable status quo where they had access without effort. Next is anger, often disguised as indifference. I don't care anyway. They weren't that important. This is what Jung called a defense mechanism, protecting the ego from accepting responsibility. But here's what's really happening beneath the surface. Their unconscious is working overtime, processing the loss, and slowly, sometimes very slowly, moving toward acceptance, and often genuine appreciation for what they had. Jung believed that other people often serve as mirrors, reflecting parts of ourselves we can't see. When you walk away, you become a mirror for that person's own behavior. They're suddenly confronted with the question, how did I treat someone who was good to me? This is uncomfortable. Most people don't want to see themselves as the type of person who takes others for granted. So your absence forces them into a psychological reckoning. They have to either admit they didn't value you properly, or they have to create a story where you're the problem. Some people choose growth. They look in that mirror and don't like what they see. They start to change, to become more appreciative, more present in their other relationships. Others choose to break the mirror. They'll convince themselves and others that you are needy, dramatic, or too much. This is what Jung called projection, putting their uncomfortable feelings onto you rather than dealing with them internally. But here's the beautiful part. Either way, walking away has revealed the truth about their character. And more importantly, it's revealed something about yours. While everyone focuses on how walking away affects the other person, Jung would remind us that the real magic is happening inside you. When you choose to walk away from someone who doesn't value you, you're engaging in what he called individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, separate from others' expectations or treatment of you. You're saying, my worth isn't determined by how others treat me. I know my value, and I won't accept less than I deserve. This isn't arrogance, it's psychological health. Jung noticed that people who could walk away from situations that diminish them were accessing what he called their inner authority. They were no longer looking for external validation to feel complete. They were becoming psychologically sovereign. This terrifies some people. When you're no longer seeking their approval, when you're no longer available for their convenience, they lose a form of control they didn't even realize they had. Your independence reflects their dependence on your attention, your energy, your presence. Here's something Jung observed that might seem contradictory. The moment you genuinely stop needing someone's attention is often the moment they become desperate to give it to you. It's not because you're playing hard to get. It's because you've become psychologically complete without them. You've stopped projecting your happiness, your worth, your completion onto another person. And ironically, this wholeness is incredibly attractive. Jung called this magnetic independence. When you're not chasing, not explaining, not trying to convince someone of your worth, you embody a kind of quiet confidence that draws people in. You become mysterious again, valuable again, because you're no longer available on demand. But here's the test. Are you walking away to manipulate them into chasing you? Or are you walking away because you genuinely value yourself too much to accept poor treatment? Jung would say your unconscious motivation makes all the difference. Manipulation eventually reveals itself and repels. Genuine self-respect is consistently attractive. The people worth having in your life will recognize and respect your boundaries. The ones who don't, well, they've just revealed who they really are. Jung believed that individual psychological healing could impact the collective unconscious, the shared psychological space we all inhabit. When you choose to walk away from situations that diminish you, you're not just healing yourself, you're modeling healthy boundaries for everyone around you. Your friends notice, your co-workers notice, your family notices. They see someone who refuses to be treated poorly, and it gives them permission to examine their own relationships and situations. Some of them will start walking away from their own toxic situations. Others will start treating the people in their lives better because they've seen the consequences of taking someone for granted. This is what Jung meant when he said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." When you walk away from what doesn't serve you, you're not just changing your own life, you're contributing to a cultural shift toward healthier relationships and greater self-respect. You become part of the solution to a world where people often mistake availability for weakness and boundaries for meanness. Carl Jung spent his life studying what makes people truly happy and psychologically healthy, and one of his most profound insights was this: you cannot love others authentically until you love yourself enough to walk away from what harms you. When you decide to walk away, you're not being selfish, you're being honest. You're saying, "I matter. My peace matters. My energy matters. My time matters." And what people feel when you walk away, the shock, the pursuit, the sudden appreciation, that's not the goal. That's just the byproduct. The real goal is becoming someone who knows their worth so deeply that they don't need external validation to feel complete. Some people will chase you when you walk away, others won't. But here's what Jung knew: the right people, the healthy people, the ones capable of genuine love and respect, they'll meet you in that space of mutual value. They'll appreciate your boundaries because they have their own. They'll respect your independence because they understand that two whole people create something infinitely more beautiful than two halves desperately clinging to each other. Walking away isn't about them. It's about you becoming who you were always meant to be, someone who knows their worth and refuses to settle for less. And that, Jung would say, is the beginning of true psychological freedom.